I have always said, if you've watched me for any period of time, while there are definitely music biopics that I have enjoyed, absolutely. Bohemian Rhapsody, Walk the Line, there have definitely been musical biopics that I do enjoy. I have to admit that I'm not really interested in musical biopics because I prefer biographies about people who like legitimately do things that change the world and kind of have different things. But if you bring up the idea of a biopic about Frank Sinatra, you could be getting into something kind of interesting there. We'll talk about why for a second, but right now it's being reported, coming to us from the Hollywood Reporter, that's the wrong story. Martin Scorsese is going to be doing a Frank Sinatra biopic with Leonardo DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence. This is what IndieWire had to say. They said this: Martin Scorsese is taking on biopics of both Jesus and a music god, Frank Sinatra. We're going to focus on the Frank Sinatra one here now. The Oscar-winning auteur is rumored to be once more developing a biopic based on the legendary crooner, a project Scorsese's been associated with before. We've been talking about Scorsese doing a Frank Sinatra biopic since my AMC days. So he's been gestating this for a long time, with longtime collaborator Leonardo DiCaprio in talks to play old Blue Eyes himself. Variety reported the news. DiCaprio recently starred in Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon and also led other Scorsese-helmed biopics like The Wolf of Wall Street and The Aviator. And on top of all that, Rob, they're talking about Jennifer Lawrence playing his wife in it, which is just star-studded. Now, like we said, Rob, before, this is a project that Scorsese has been talking about and developing and trying to get going. Right now, there's no studio attached. They're saying Sony is the front runner right now to work with them on making the movie. But I'll tell you why I'm interested in this why I'm interested in a musical biopic if it's a Frank Sinatra biopic. Frank Sinatra kind of shaped the world in his time.
Sure.
Like, he was not just a musical icon. He was a cultural icon. He was a cultural linchpin, if you will. Like, he had hands in so many facets of not just Las Vegas, but the American way of life. Not to mention everything that went down with the Rat Pack, his friendship with Sammy Davis Jr., all that kind of stuff. Like, you are now here for me, Rob, talking about a musical figure that for me transcends just music, right? It isn't just another musical biopic that, someone's a savant in music, comes from lowly beginnings, becomes a major superstar, falls to their own personal demons, and then by the end has something of a personal redemption, right? That's every musical biopic you've ever seen. I think this can be different. I think being done by a Martin Scorsese is fascinating. So sign me up for this. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Harry's. Guys, in order to start the John Campea Show, I had to leave my high-paying corporate job in order to set myself up to be happier and enjoy more personal success. Because sometimes to get what you want, you have to challenge the status quo and blaze your own trail. And that's exactly what the folks at Harry's did. You see, at Harry's, they saw customers getting ripped off by questionable products in the shaving industry and decided to do something better. Harry's decided to pave their own road by making beautifully designed razors for a fraction of the price of the other big brands. Exceptional products, honest prices. That's Harry's. I have fallen in love with Harry's, from their foaming shaving gel that feels just luxurious on the skin, to their incredible razor that feels just as good in the hand as it does going over your skin. They've got rich, lathering, skin-softening body wash in scents like redwood, wildlands, and stone. You see, Harry's provides German-engineered blades made in their own factory that stay sharp longer. You can get a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, foaming shave gel, and a travel cover for just $3 at harrys.com/Campea. Don't settle for the status quo. Blaze your own trail with Harry's. Get started with a $13 trial set for just $3 at harrys.com/Campea. That's harrys.com/Campea for a $3 trial set. Rob, we've heard people talk about this for years. What do you think about the fact that it sounds like there's now movement on Martin Scorsese doing a Frank Sinatra biopic? And is Frank Sinatra a worthy subject of a biopic? What do you think?
First of all, I just want to say I saw Frank Sinatra live on the LA Is My Lady tour.
No.
Oh yeah. This has got to be what, 40 years ago?
Wow.
Yeah, so and I mean Frank Sinatra stars in one of my favorite movies of all time, which is The Manchurian Candidate, and this is a weird thing to mention, but Roderick Thorpe, who wrote the book, was it No One was it the book that Die Hard is based on is actually a sequel to a book called The Detective, and Frank Sinatra played the main character in The Detective.
Wow.
So there's ties to Die Hard, but Frank Sinatra, dude, and of course the character of Johnny Fontaine in The Godfather is based on Frank Sinatra.
Totally based on Sinatra. Yeah.
So of course he didn't like that, and of course Frank Sinatra was married to Mia Farrow, and they made Rosemary's Baby. And I look like you. I think Frank Sinatra shaped American history. I mean, he was a movie star. He was part of the Rat Pack when Vegas was new. He was. I mean, we don't have stars like him anymore. That could talk his way into any woman's bedroom, who could croon the great hits, who could be a star of stage and screen. I mean, this is back in the day when entertainers were gods. I mean, he's Mount Olympus level. And yet he had a very tumultuous personal life. So I think that I can't wait for this. I can't wait for this. And I'm actually curious to see DiCaprio do this. I have to say, I think he can pull it off.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think he absolutely can pull it off. I think he can do it justice. And here's one of the things that really fascinates me a lot too, is also the social aspect, because back in that era, him having Sammy Davis Jr.
Oh yeah,
as a part of his Rat Pack was not popular.
A Jewish black man? No.
Yeah, not at all. And there's some great stories about like the Rat Pack showing up at a place for dinner and them saying, well, he can't come in, talking to Sammy Davis Jr. And then mysteriously some very bad things happening to that establishment in the days that would follow. I mean, so there's a lot of ground there that you can cover that I think would be really, really rich. And by the way, throw in there somebody we haven't mentioned here, Academy Award winner Jennifer Lawrence playing off of Leo DiCaprio, which, I mean, this could be really good. I mean, so
I'm excited, man. I do. I mean, I think everything you've ever said about musical biopics is true. I think there's a trajectory to them, and there's not a lot of diversity in them. I think when they do things like Rocket Man and Bohemian Rhapsody, when they're kind of more esoteric, they can be more interesting.
Right.
But I think because Frank Sinatra was such a colorful character in his life, and he did so many different kinds of things, and really, I mean, he exemplified a certain part of America.
Yeah,
I mean,
he really did.
that post-war, beginning in the war, post-war reconstruction, and then the whole creation of the middle class and what he represented. It's a fascinating period of American history. And I can't think of, look, man, if we're going to get the Goodfellas, Casino, Martin Scorsese, or the Wolf of Wall Street, and we get that kind of a movie with that kind of wit and verve, dude, I'm in. I can't wait.
Now, of course, two of the big questions that'll come up with modern Martin Scorsese movies. Is he going to be asking for $200 million to make this movie again? Because that didn't work out so well for Killers of the Flower Moon.
No, I mean, yeah, I look, I think he's got to keep this. I mean, Wolf of Wall Street's almost 3 hours.
Yeah.
You know, Goodfellas is long, but there's that energy, you know, even that Color of Money energy, the way he shot a pool game in that movie. I think that's what he needs to do. And I got to tell you, I am sure he's wanted to make this movie his whole life, because he's had characters like Frank Sinatra in his films before. And I just, man, I got to tell you, this is a tasty project. I hope he gets it financed. I hope he can make it well.
All right, guys. Well, the question is for you. What do you think about this? It sounds like this very long gestating Frank Sinatra biopic being directed by Martin Scorsese is close to actually happening with Leonardo DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence. What do you guys think about it? Whatever you think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.